Greetings, Cleveland, and welcome to Creative Focus, the show that illuminates some of Cleveland's most talented and creative artists across the genres of film, dance, music, theater, and visual arts. I'm your host, Cornell Calhoun III, and I am thrilled, honored to have as my guest today on Creative Focus, one of the most successful filmmakers in the industry, the incomparable Mr. Johnny Woo. Johnny, welcome to Creative Focus.
Thank you for having me here.
Man, let's chop it up.
Sure.
Okay, so Johnny, I got my resume, and I'm gonna give it to you. I want you to put me in one of your films. I want you to make me a star.
I'll do my best.
Okay. Johnny, so you're a native Clevelander, raised in Central America. Tell us about the journey from Central America to Cleveland, Ohio.
Sure. I was born in a family of diplomats. So when I was raised in Panama, my parents are always all over the places, and everybody don't know who they are. So it's hard for me to get a living without them being involved. And so I decided, I've never been back here in Cleveland, so let me come back here, and decided to just flew to Miami, bought a car, and drove all the way up here, and stayed at a very small little tiny place in Dennison Avenue. So with no furniture, sleep in bed, on the floor, everything else. I got fortunate enough that my uncle from England, he decided to send some money to support me a little bit, so that got me going. And I joined a little Christian group over there in Travisky Road. And from there, just get to know a lot of people and started to do everything together. Went to school at Cleveland State, got my MBA, and just started my living.
What was your inspiration to start making films?
That's a very good question. I actually, in 1998, met a friend of mine. His name is Greg Petoskey. He's a talented photographer. Used to work for the Museum of Natural History Museum. And so he and I bonded and did really well. And then we feel like, let's put something together. I got the brain for doing the business part of it. He got the talent to do all the photography part of it. So maybe we can put our knowledge together and make a movie. So we did, because he owns all the different 60 millimeter film cameras. And back then I reached out to Kodak and I got all the film stock for free. And we actually did a feature film. Unfortunately, because of him working in the Natural History Museum and also working the film, it got about too stressed out for him. So he bailed out. And I said to myself, I really like what I do. I really like what we've been doing so far. I just continue. Got a bunch of people together and make a lot of different short films, and from there on, just what you have right now.
Okay, so do you remember what was your first film? You remember your first film?
The first film was called Twisted. It was shot in 60 millimeter film stock. Then we got developed, finished, and we have a lot of well-known people locally got involved. Back then, the San Jose Ballet, can't remember her name right now. Was involved, a bunch of different people. Raska Hall got involved because they were providing all the catering for us for free. I'm not mistaken, one of your crew here, Doug was involved too.
Oh, Doug Field. Okay.
Yes, he raised his hand, so I just saw him. So he was involved.
So Doug never told me he was a filmmaker.
Yeah, he was involved.
Okay, I'm gonna have to get Doug on my staff.
Sure.
Okay, so what do you think is the biggest challenge in making a successful film in your eyes? What do you think?
There's a lot of factors involved. Making a successful film commercially, it needs to be figured out. You need to understand what's out in the market. And a lot of people think about you need to be able to raise lots of money to make a movie. The problem with that is currently in this market we have right now, if you have more than $250,000 spent on a feature film, only 27% of those people actually made money back. So that is a real low statistic. So if you make $200,000 movie and up, and you only have 27% of people actually make their money back, there's a lot of failure. And so if you want to raise $1 million, you're never ever going to see your money back. That's the unfortunate market we have right now. The problem with that, because the distributors are taking as much money they can for themselves. The distributors are there to make money off your movies. So this is an unfortunate cycle that we're going through. So if you want to be a successful filmmaker, you have to think about the cheapest way you can make money without getting everybody upset. And so you can see a return of investment at the end when you get it distributed.
So do you think prospective filmmakers should start off doing shorts as opposed to jumping in and trying to do a feature film?
Yes. If you don't have the background in making a feature film, it's very much a huge recommendation through me or anybody who's being in this industry, that you should start small. Do some short films, test the water, learn about the filmmaking process of it, the style, the visual, the audio, the editing. And then when you get enough in your belt to say that, okay, I know I can do it now, then you can go to the feature film. At the same time, doing short films connects you with all the different other filmmakers in the area. Mm-hmm. So that's creating a great socializing networking opportunity. Through that, then you can be able to say to them, hey, I want to make a feature film. Would you be able to help? 80% of them will say yes, because they want to be involved in something that they already have been friends with. So
you first started making films around in 98. Okay, and was it a process? I mean, did you start out as a camera person and then you graduate? So
I started as a director and a writer.
Oh, started as a director and a writer.
I wrote the story, Twisted, and my partner back then, Greg, he actually reviewed it and make it more exciting. Okay. So I got rid of all the boring part of it. So we scheduled a lot of different time and then start filming it. We have a lot of fight sequence in there, so we have a Rick Fike to be involved. So he was this fight choreographer for us for the project.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So let's take a look at one of Johnny's early films, A Joker's Card. We've got a trailer of that. Let's take a look.
So Mr. Fries, how long before he's thawed out?
Ah, well, judging by the movement of his pupils, I'd say in just a few more minutes.
Mr. Fries, I would like to thank you for helping me with this.
Yes, well, you would have done Jack proud. You've inherited his great mind.
Hello, Nick. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm your arch enemy, Jonathan Napier. I'm Jack Napier's son. Anyways, you're here unwillingly because we have plans to get rid of the ones who have done wrong to me. Your father and his kind made my father. Doesn't seem to be your business. But in fact, it is. You see, I was born with a curse. You people continue mocking me, never giving me peace. For years I lived without a father. Only once a week allowed to visit him in Arkham. But nevertheless, he was too ill to recognize me. Your kind! Your kind made him. Your kind destroyed him. At school, I was ridiculed. Everyone knew who I was. I never got any respect.
Why, hello, Mr. Napier. How are you today? Are you all right?
Hi, I'm fine. Just had a rough day at school.
Yes, it does seem to be going on forever.
Yeah, I wish it would end. I'm tired of being a punching bag. How's my father doing?
Well, he really hasn't changed much since he's been admitted. It's still the same.
Huh?
You know, you can make a difference. You can make them all pay for your suffering.
What do you have in mind?
Well, hello, Dr. Freeze.
Dr. Isley.
It's a lovely evening, isn't it?
Why, yes, it is. Well, who is this you have here?
Oh, this poor soul was admitted a few hours ago. Keeps saying something about some winged creature. I don't know what that's about.
Yes, well, why don't you get him 500 milligrams of sodium pentothal and put him to bed. Be with him in the morning.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, and I'll see you later, Vinny.
All right. So where was I?
What do you remember about that film, Johnny? What's one of the interesting things about that film?
I remember making fun of me. We were setting everything up the day before, and one of the guy who flew all the way here from LA to help out, and he came into the room and said to me, "Johnny, we have a problem." I said, "What?" He said, "All the railing that was set on the ceiling for the wire work broke down, and we can't make it work." So they were trying to think whether I'm going to cry or I'm going to be frustrated and trying to figure something to do. It turns out it was a joke. And then I decided to prank him back that day. So we were at a coffee talk, one of the places next to the West Side Market. Okay. And I asked one of my actors to pretend to be somebody that he knows to call in to find out whether they can go out for a date. So he freaked out because he thought it was real. So he was nervous because he's married. Right. So he didn't know what to do. And at the end, I just introduced him to the actress and said, "This is the lady who called you." So I got him back really well. Yes.
Okay, so Johnny, you are the founder of the Cleveland IndieClub. Yes. Explain that, what that is, and why you thought it was important to start that organization.
Sure. And back in 2002, there was a website called IndieGathering. So lots of independent filmmakers throughout the country hang out there and have a great time. At one point, they have decided to say that maybe we should do some kind of a local get-together for everybody to hang out, to showcase each other's films, and get to know each other and network, socialize. So in 2003, I started the IndieClub group together. So we meet every month, usually the third Sunday on the month, and we met in different places at the beginning. And we built lots of people. We have maybe 100 people coming in every month to hang out. And it became very much a continuous effort. So we currently, right now, we are the oldest group running because everybody else just don't have the time to do it. So we are still running around making an indie club.
So is there a specific reason why people select indie? Because I remember seeing a lot of indie festivals like the Chicago Indie Festival. Is there a significance in that word indie?
The word indie actually means independent.
Okay, see, okay.
That was the reason why.
That was it. Yeah. Okay, independent. Wow, I learned something myself.
And congratulations, you've been winning a bunch of different awards.
Yeah, I've been winning a few awards, Johnny. I'm trying to be like you.
To be better than I am. So that's the best thing to do.
Now, you have your own production company, MDI. And tell us something a little about that.
So I started out right at the same time when I met with Greg, and then we also started to do some smaller production, photography, video production for local small businesses. At one point, I think in 2007 or 2008, we actually got a few Fortune 500 businesses like Vitamix and Cleveland Clinic and so on. I feel like the company has slowly changing its business plan model to become more a event and also video production company. So for the past 13, 14 years now, I've been doing the Cleveland Asian Festival to the company, and I also do the Cleveland Culture Garden One Word Day event. Right. I used to do the Data Cleve program that did it here in downtown Cleveland for a couple of years. So it's a way to make the money and then pay myself for a full-time person. Right. And at the same time, extra money there, I use that to make movies.
That's incredible. So Johnny, I know you go all over the country talking about films and marketing and how the process of filmmaking process as a whole. What do you enjoy most about doing that, speaking at those type of film events?
The people. I enjoy speaking with the people and actually giving some knowledge of what I can, and then they sometimes also give me some insight that I didn't know about. Being able to travel is a gift. It's an opportunity, and when I'm there, I can tell people about what they can do and can do better for their film, and that helps them. And because I want to see independent filmmakers succeed. If they can be successful in what they do, they help everybody do, and they will be elevated more than just being independent filmmakers.
Let's talk about your recent feature film.
Within the Society.
Right, yeah. I saw the trailer, and I couldn't hardly see the background for all the awards that it's won. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure. We did put together the feature film in 2021. Is it 21? Yes. Actually 2020. We shot in 2020 during the peak of the pandemic. So we want to make sure everybody's safe. So we decided to make the movie have people wearing masks in front of the camera, behind the camera. Because they'll be part of the storyline where within a society is happening in 2050 with pollution, viruses, everything is all over the places. So you had to survive by wearing masks. So nothing else they can do about that. So the story basically there, and then we have talk about a family who feel like they're being wronged in the past, and they decide to kill people. And so the detective had to find out who are these people and why they're killing the victims, and so on. So that was basically the premise of the storyline.
And you wrote this? You wrote and directed it, or?
I did not write it. I actually came out with an idea because one day taking a shower, just have a light bulb turn on and say, "This is it. This is the story."
Right.
So I asked a good friend of mine, John, and he wrote the story based on my outline, and we just put it together.
Okay, so let's look at the trailer of Wuling the Society by Johnny Wu.
Who are you?
Hey, buddy, you okay?
In other news, the body of Andrew Weber was discovered after his boss called for a welfare check. The now privately owned police department discovered his body in bed.
Ah!
What's wrong?
No!
What's wrong?
Yes!
Arthur!
He's here!
Arthur, what? Hold it! Who's here?
Incredible work. Do you keep track of the awards that the film wins?
No, I do not keep track at all. In fact, before I came here today, I was updating one of my movie, Wuxia 2, which is Immortal Combat: The Code. I was putting a new laurel because we just won an award 2 weeks ago. Wow. And so as the best sci-fi feature. So I was kind of like, why? It's kind of interesting how you can get this award, and I can feel excited that people are accepting it. So, and hopefully that will bring more people to say that Johnny, we can do good stuff. You know.
So, are most of the films that you produce feature martial arts, or no? Have you? Maybe I'll ask you this: have you ever produced a film without martial arts?
Not feature-wise. Short film-wise, yes. I did a couple horror films. Okay. Comedy genre. Okay. I have no martial art in it, but my forte or my strength is mostly action martial art. I did one is a martial comedy musical. So that's actually was kind of fun to do.
What was the title of that?
The title was Inner Self. Okay. One word.
Okay. And could someone, is that out for someone to see?
Currently, all my movies, you can find them anywhere in digital on demand. So basically on streaming platforms like DirecTV, Tubi, YouTube, Vimeo, Amazon, and so on.
Johnny, what is your biggest inspiration for creating a film? Or like you said, you might just get an idea in the shower, or do you look for like examples from your childhood or from things that have happened to you?
I think my number one inspiration and model would be my dad, because living with him, as him being a diplomat, he have experienced a lot. We've been to Philippines, Taiwan, Malaysia, Japan, Panama, United States. And he knows a lot of people when he was a diplomat. And he brought me in that culture. there was like, for example, there's one day we would go to all day long watching all the type of Bruce Lee movie. There was this after he died, and then there was maybe about 20 different movies about how he died, about Bruce Lee, how he passed away. So he took me to watch the whole thing in one day. And so I got involved in that artistic venue, even though my dad always wanted me to be a doctor, but somehow went to a different direction. Because my dad, he loved photography. He loved to take pictures. There's another funny story about him where we went to Chicago, and I was helping a client fixing some computer system. So my friend took him to the Museum of Art in Chicago. You know for a fact you're not supposed to take any flash, right? Right. He didn't care. He was taking pictures all of the places. The staff, security people there at the end decided to just ignore him. They couldn't tell him to stop anymore. So he got away taking pictures all over the places. Unfortunately, all the picture came out all blurry because he was old. But he couldn't be stopped, so he just did what he wanted to do.
So what impact do you want your films to have on the audience?
That's a very good question. I want people to enjoy the movie. I want people to be able to think about the fantasy. That's one thing I don't do. I don't like to do any movie that's very close to reality, because we are already living in a world that we all experience all this hardship. So when you come to watch a movie, I want people to enjoy the fantasy, enjoy the different world that they can take their mind to somewhere else more relaxable. So all my movies are action-based because of that. I also have a sci-fi genre into it because of that. And I want people to enjoy it. And if they don't like it, that's okay. I mean, you can check out my IMDb. There are some movies people give me good reviews. Other people just hated my gut. I'm okay with that. Right. You have to have a thick skin to be able to go through the whole process.
So do you watch movies yourself?
I do. I watch every day.
What type of movies do you watch? You like the action, obviously.
Action definitely number one to watch, and then I watch a lot of comedy, a lot of drama, horror films. The reason I watch them because I actually learning from them by understanding how they make their project. So you can see a scene, they see a camera motion, so interesting, involved without taking the audience out of the storyline. Then I was like, how did they do this? How can I make this similar idea to make it work in my project?
Are there any film makers that inspire you, or filmmakers that you enjoy their work?
I do. When I started filmmaking here in Cleveland, the number one person I talked to was Robert Banks. He was my idol back then. I say back then because now we almost become like learning from each other. Right. So.
Robert actually is my neighbor. We live in the tower. We live in Tower Press, and I got to get him on. I got to get him on the show.
If you see him sometimes, to tell you, I say hi.
Yeah, I will. So tell me more about how you met him and so forth. Quickly.
It's gonna be embarrassing. I don't even think he remembered. So we were at the Cleveland International Film Festival back then. That's many years ago. I think in '99 or '98. And then there was a different kind of workshop they provided for each person. So he was giving a workshop. I think we were doing a workshop about stunt fighting with Refight. At the end of the workshop, I came to him and say, "Hi, I heard so much about you. Just want to shake your hand." So he shook my hand. So my partner then, Greg, wanted to shake his hand. He said, "Sorry, I'm sick. I don't want to catch you with flu." I was mad. I was really mad that moment. I said, "Man, you look down some other people." But somehow that changed. After many years, I'll get to know him and hang out a few times. And then I remember he always told me that he doesn't like digital. He hates digitals. Digital is bad. You had to go film. But he changed his mind after he watched my first short film, The Chase. It made it so much they convinced him to go into digital because of that. I think he said that to a lot of his students back then, that because of Johnny, he liked digital now. Yeah.
That's funny. He's a great guy.
He's a great guy.
I gotta get him on. I gotta get him on the show.
I don't think he remember how we met, but
let's talk about your award-winning documentary.
Okay.
How did all that come about?
In 2019, we heard about Cleveland Chinese American it's celebrating about 150 years anniversary. Well, we'll put it this way. Chinese American in Cleveland has been around for 150 years. So in 2020, that's going to be a huge celebration to celebrate how we have contributed here in Cleveland. So in 2019, we thought maybe we should apply for a grant. So we applied for Cleveland Foundation, the Minority Art and Culture Grant. Didn't think anything about it until 2020. At the end of 2019, we got a letter said that we got it. We got it for $50,000. So we started planning about it. I freaked out because I didn't expect that to happen. So we started planning about it and started to reach out to people, got a big things going on. And COVID hit, everything got shut down. We couldn't do anything about it. And then 2021, we reemerged and started asking everybody to come back to see whether we can interview them. We interviewed about 30 people. Each person took about 3 hours to 4 hours time to interview. And we put everything in the timeline, try to figure out a theme or a way to put all the connection together. And finally we did and submitted to a local film festival because this is a local story. Cleveland Foundation really liked the story, so we submitted to Urban Film Festival, the Chagrin Documentary Film Festival, the IndieGathering, the Horror Hotel. And then we started getting some awards going on. I'm hoping to get into the Cleveland International Film Festival, but you never know. I mean,
oh yeah, I'm sure it will.
Hopefully I can get
Yeah,
it.
sure. Now, does the documentary touch on the old Chinatown on Rockwell?
Yes, the documentary talks a lot about how the Chinese Americans started here in Cleveland after the gold rush. And we went all the way back telling about this, how they survived. Racism was one of the factors. And there was a tongue war in Cleveland where all the Chinese got arrested by the police department and locked in jail, where a lot of Chinese had to pretend to be Japanese to be able to not to go to jail. So there's a lot of things happening back then. And all the way to now we have the Asian Town, the Cleveland Asian Festival.
I'll only bring that up because in the old Chinatown, there was a restaurant called Shanghai. Yep. And I lived in that restaurant. I was there so much, I had my own waitress. Her name was Ashu.
Wow.
Yeah, Ashu. And so she, as soon as I walked in the restaurant, she would know what I wanted. I lived there. That was just incredible. So let's take a look at the trailer from the award-winning documentary by Johnny Wu.
Exactly when the first Chinese immigrants arrived in Cleveland remains shrouded in mystery, though most believe it was sometime in the 1850s. The information we have today, the vast majority of it at least, has been passed down through the generations.
Their tale is one of enterprise, sorrow, gritty determination, persecution, and thankless labor.
I want to tell you that my father was in jail because the Tong War, they put all the Chinese in jail.
Racism, when you're a child, hurts just as much as racism when you're an adult. Maybe even more because you don't understand it.
Back when I was young, as a kid, of course, we didn't really recognize it as racism. We just viewed it as perhaps bullying or mean kids. But reflecting back on it now as an adult, it absolutely was racism.
I think it had always happened because I still remember my mother-in-law, she still was afraid to walk out because she still remember people pushing her.
Big celebrations, the dinners, it would all culminate on Chinese New Year's Eve on Rockwell.
The Cleveland Asian Festival, I think, is a great example of how persons with great ideas can change the world.
It has brought the Asian community together. It has brought thousands of Asians, in fact, many Asians from out of town just to come and see the event.
Incredible, incredible. And again, where can people see the documentary?
Right now, it's not available.
It's not available.
We had to wait until the Cleveland International Festival information.
Okay.
If it's available, then you can watch it there. After that, we're going to probably put it online for people can rent it and donate the money back to the organization.
Oh, that's great. You know, I had said earlier, you're such a pioneer in the industry, and most people talk so well of you. I've never heard anyone in the film industry say a bad word. And when I first started in the film industry, people said, "Hey, go talk to Johnny Wu. Go talk to John." Why do you think people appreciate you so much? What would you say that
I
is?
don't know. Maybe I'm being honest and being humble, or because I don't yell at people, and I don't demand anything from anyone. Maybe that, I don't know. Maybe you can ask Doug, since he was with me from this whole time. He probably know why people refer me all the time. Maybe I'm easy to be approached, or maybe I just have a cool name.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just felt honored and be able to go where I am right now. And the way that I think because I'm where I am right now is because all the people who got me here. You know, I can't do it by myself. I have a cast and crew who literally loves me, and I treat them with respect, and I make sure that if I succeed, they success too. So.
That's great. So, what advice would you give to a young person just starting out in the film? If there was one thing that you would tell that person, what would you say?
I would say if you have decide to become part of the filmmaking journey, don't give up, because a lot of people give up after hardship. So don't give up no matter what. Keep your idea coming. I have a lot of dreams. In fact, today in the morning I had a dream about monster fighting against humans. So things like that, if you can remember it, write it down, because that can become a story. Become a good filmmaker is not because of the money you have, but it's about the experience you went through your journey. So the more you experience in life, that becomes a good story to tell visually. And a lot of people don't think about that. And also always be humble. Don't always think about your project will be the biggest one in the world, but do the best you can. Be realistic about what you can do. Of course, always dream big.
And lastly, what do you do when you're not making films? What do you enjoy doing when you're not in the filmmaking process?
I will watch TV, watch cartoons.
Cartoons. Give me some of your favorite cartoons.
I usually flip around the Netflix and try.
You watch SpongeBob?
No, okay. I watch anime more to be exact.
Okay.
And then I sleep.
Hey, that's a good choice. That's a good choice.
I need to sleep at least 8 hours a day. Otherwise, I cannot function. I'm being old now, so I had to take a nap in the afternoon and then wake up to do more work.
Johnny, thanks so much for being on the show. I want to thank my special guest, filmmaker Johnny Wu, for hanging out with us on Creative Focus today. So that's it, Cleveland, we're out. But remember, a true artist is not only inspired, but inspires others. I'm Cornell Calhoun III for TV20 and Creative Focus. Until the next time becomes our time, Cleveland, be well, be safe.